I am professor in English, Trilochan Pradhan. I have been recently taking classes on online mode for BSc, BCom and BA students in Odisha under the sponsorship of our regional office Bhubaneswar, that is IGNOU. I am fortunate today that in the district of Kendrapada, where the learners are becoming quite helpless to avail of competitive exams along with the textual materials, this online class by all the reputed teachers and lecturers of this area, they have been invited to take classes as per the time to be settled and scheduled. My dear students, today I am introducing the topic, that is Daffodils by William Wordsworth. As we know, William Wordsworth is a poet called the High Priest of Nature, and he belongs to England, and he himself is the harbinger of romantic period. To say it other way, he naturalizes the nature, and St. Coleridge, he supernaturalizes the nature. Shelley intellectualizes the nature. John Keats, he beautifies the nature, and Byron makes a revolution, and so he is revolutionizing the nature. It is argued that William Wordsworth and all the romantic poets, they are escapists because they are least concerned with the day-to-day life of the earth. They are fed up with the regular life maintained by the people on the earth. But it is not the case. All the romantic poets, they have initially decided to fly away from this mundane earth and to find out a secluded place where there is peace and peace only. After they have left this earth for a problem-free space, they come to realize, no, life begins on the earth and life is subject to end on the earth. So it is the only place, only platform to which everybody returns. And William Wordsworth in this poem, Golden Daffodils or Daffodils, says these daffodils are not simply flowers, they are golden daffodils, meaning thereby the epithet, the quality, the adjective, golden, has been given to the flowers because the flowers look yellow in color. So in the beginning of the poem, the poet says, I am wandering lonely as a cloud in the sky. How is he wandering? He is traveling or wandering aimlessly in a valley where there are hills and where there are stars higher than the areas that is sky. So his traveling begins not intentionally, it is an aimless traveling, and he has been attracted by the beauties of nature, the stars in the blue sky, the golden daffodils by the lakeside, the distant hills and mountains, and the green fields or pastures like that of valley. So he is hypnotized, he is made intoxicant, and he is drawn towards nature automatically. Why? He is a man of a poet. He has poetic sense and sensibility. So, he is automatically drawn towards nature, the storehouse of life, human life. Nature is the storehouse of beauty. And beauty, as we know, beauty is what beauty does. So looking beauty and working beauty, beauty that works out for others, beauty that creates further beauty is the real beauty. And it is created out of the poetic sensibility when human beings encounter with nature. So the poet is lonely in the sense the cloud is lonely. A cloud has been compared with the poet. Cloud floats in the sky and wind decides the fate of a cloud. Cloud is drifted away by the wind. Here, the poet is drifted away towards nature by his poetic sense and sensibilities. This lonely atmosphere gives tremendous inspiration to our poet. And the poet automatically is drawn towards the lakeside. The moment he reaches the lakeside, he finds a large number of golden daffodils. It is stretching miles and miles along the margin of a bay by both sides of the lake water. The poet is wonderstruck. He is mesmerized. Oh, bravo! How much flower! From this end to the other end. The poet could not count it. Nobody can count it because the flowers are blooming by the lakeside along the margin of a bay, miles and miles beyond the range of human eyes. And he finds the daffodils are dancing in sprightly dance. They are fluttering and dancing in gentle breeze. The breeze is very sweet, not destructive wind. The wind is breeze, and the breeze gives certain direction to the nature. And the poet is happy. The flowers are blooming under the trees, by the lakeside, and miles as long as human eyes can reach. The poet is wonderstruck and says, I saw 10,000 flowers at a glance. Is it possible? At a glance, can one count to 10,000 flowers? No. It means the poet points out the quantity of the flowers. In a single eye drop, if he imagines the flowers to be 10,000, what must have been the real amount if one continues to count the flower for years and years? Then the poet is quite happy. He is highly emotional and looks at the flowers gazingly. He says, the waves are dancing, the flowers are dancing, the leaves are swinging from left to right. Why? Because of the wind, gentle breeze. When the gentle breeze comes, the innumerable flowers, daffodils, they dance from left to right and right to left. And their heads and some flowers, they toss the water. And the lake water gives waves, and the waves are also dancing. So the atmosphere is completely romantic. Golden flowers, gentle wind, and the dance of the waves, dance of the flowers, all create and recreate certain space in the heart of the poet. And the poet is charged with the magnificent magnanimity of nature. Here is nature that can give stimuli, that can give vigorousness or vigor, that can give elixir of life, the vitamin of life to the poet. Afterwards, as the poet moves, he says, I gazed and gazed, but little thought. This line indicates the poet is completely emotional. He is lost in the beauty of daffodils. He forgets all about his own existence, who he is, why he is, where he is, what to think and what to not think further. Everything is impossible now. So he says, the poet says, I gaze and gaze, but little thought. That means no thought. Just like a bhakta, when he prays to his God, he becomes emotional, forgets all about his family members. Here the case is same. The poet is lost. And immediately he reacts and says, what wealth is so hard brought. The materialistic accomplishment, the materialistic wealth like diamond, gold, and human beauty cannot be compared with the beauty of nature. Because the natural beauty is sagacious beauty. It is a divine beauty. It is a living beauty. How can we say it's a divine beauty? In the next stanza, the poet says, the yellow flowers, golden flowers are as continuous, as living, as the stars that shine in the twinkling sky, or you may say, in Odia Akasa Ganga, Milky Way. In the Milky Way, we come across countless stars. And this Milky Way has been compared with the quantity of the daffodils stretching miles and miles by the side of the lake water. So stars are the symbol of spiritualism. Moon is the symbol of spiritualism. The sun is the symbol of spiritualism. When flowers are compared with the stars in the sky, automatically we may say the flowers are divine flowers, holy flowers, spiritual flowers, because flowers do not affect negatively to anyone in the world. Flowers are for the benefit of the mankind, not for the malevolence of mankind. Flowers are for the benevolence, benevolence of mankind. Simply saying that William Wordsworth is a nature poet, we cannot be excused. Yes, we know he is the high priest of nature. And the natural sense of sensibilities are quite reflected in his poems. Not this poem, in all of his poems. But he is also a poet of man. Because man comes in contact with nature. Here nature is daffodils. And there is a pure, perennial and perpetual relationship mutual relationship of nature with man and man with nature. I mean to say vice versa. So nature is our first teacher. It teaches and in turn gets nothing from mankind. So nature cannot betray the heart of anyone. Nature does not say any lie. Nature is nature and nature is natural. So the poet is completely happy. And he dances as if his soul is dancing. Then the poet proceeds to the next step and declares that wealth is temporary, wealth is ad hoc, wealth has got no permanence, but nature has permanence. Nature's beauty is permanence. Nature leaves abiding influence, permanent influence upon man and mankind. Who is not happy to see nature? Who is not happy to see nature all over the world? Even a little child, knowing nothing about what a flower is, a child toddles, creeps, crawls towards flower. Even if an adult, he knows what a flower is. He goes and plucks out the flower from the tree for his own satisfaction. And when the same man becomes older, he turns spiritual. He suggests, look at the flower, get the pleasure, derive the pleasure, but do not touch the flower and pluck out the flower. Flower is flower, it is for God's sake. So, man undergoes three types of experience. When he is a child, he toddles towards nature to catch it. When he is a middle-aged man, he goes, enjoys and plucks it. But when he is an old man, he is discovering God inside nature. That is called one God prevailing inside nature. Pantheism. The doctrine is pantheism. Belief in one God is called pantheism. So in this poem, we see the flowers are not simple flowers, number one. Number two, man is not left alone in this universe or cosmos. Man has his own nature. God has created nature and man both. So both need to be cooperative. Both need to be sharing the love, sharing the sympathy and empathy with each other, so that God will be happy and God is there. If a man out of selfishness tries to kill nature, it is ultimately man who will be responsible for his own destruction and extermination in the form of a cyclone or in the form of a flood. So man has been advised not to destroy nature, but to create nature, as nature creates natural sense and sensibility in human beings. Thereafter, the poet himself goes out to his real world. Now he departs from flowers, goes away to his own home. As and when some sadistic events take place, something tragic takes place in his heart becomes heavy and his mind becomes empty and he feels frustrated. He goes to his bed. He is lying upon his own bed. He sleeps. And in the dream sequence, the past dance of the daffodils he has seen. The lake water he has seen. The lake water waves are dancing he has seen. The stars he has discovered in the sky. The hills he has gone away by his side in the valley. All enter his heart in the dream. This is called inward eye. In his inward eye, the natural dances of the nature, the daffodils, gets reflected. And it is called the bliss of solitude. He gets bliss of God. His heart dances with the daffodils. And his heart is filled in with pleasure infinity. And he forgets the worries, the anxieties, the tension, the burden of his day-to-day life. And he comes to feel that nature is for human relaxation. Nature is a friend, philosopher and a guide to the man. Here, while speaking it, I do think you, my dear students, all over the world or in Odisha or in India, you must be coming to know one fact. Nature is the storehouse of beauty, and beauty is truth, and truth is beauty, and that is why it is called literature is Satyam, Shubha, Shivam and Sundaram. One who is Satya is Shiva and is Sundar. So if one discovers nature, establishes his deeper relation with nature, nature equally accepts him. Nature does not betray. Nature does not cheat anyone in the world so far. That is the reason why the poet, high priest of nature, Mr. William Wordsworth of London, he says, what is poetry? Poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. How does poetry come? Poetry comes to his heart, or to the heart of any poet, spontaneously. And the thoughts are overflown inside his heart. So poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. When our feelings become powerful, when we look at nature, we first look, then see, and finally we gauge. The moment we gauge, we are totally lost. We lose our own entity, own existence in nature. Where does powerful feeling come? The powerful feeling comes to the heart of the poet when the poet himself is in a tranquilized place. It is recollected in tranquility. Tranquility means calm, quiet, and serene atmosphere. So if the mind is not disturbed, the place itself is the happiest place without any disturbance. Prevails discipline there. The heart is filled in with powerful feelings. And emotion is created. So my dear students, you might be thinking, sir, emotion, what is the difference between emotion and intellect? Emotion is the vibration of the heart in a minute. And intellect is in our head. Emotion is in our heart. So modern poets, they write poems intellectually, like T.S. Eliot, etc. But the romantic poets, they are more of emotion and less of intellect. That is why they are dreamers, first-hand dreamers. Say, they experience a dream, and when the dream is broken, they come back to the earth, because earth is the only reality. So what is poetry? Poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It takes its origin from the emotion recollected in tranquility. If the place is sequestered, if the place is tranquilized, if the place itself is composed, non-disturbed, powerful feelings enter the heart of the poet. So, when emotion comes to the poet like a leaf coming to the branch of a tree, automatically. By force we cannot create romanticism, by force we cannot create emotion. If we apply force for the creation of emotion, emotion will be distorted like a broken mirror. If we break a mirror into different parts, likewise, if we apply force for emotion, the poem will not be emotion, it will rather be perverted intellectual poems. Modern poets, they compose poems, but all the readers, they are unable to understand. But in case of romanticism, we understand. So what are the romantic elements in this poem? In this poem, we find a lake, we find it trees, we find it flowers, we find it valley, hills, stars in the Milky Way, and everything is romantic. This is created by God. And God created elements are the romantic elements which help man and mankind and vice versa. And out of a pleasure, we are really pleased persons, pleased. If we go pleasureless and entertainless, we would be frustrated, despaired, and broken mirror. And after this completion of this poem, now we are to have the ideology of the poet Mr. William Wordsworth. Mr. William Wordsworth says, write or compose poems in the ordinary language used by the ordinary people in the ordinary situation, so that the poems or poetry can be understood by everybody. The king in the palace and the farmer in the field, they can understand it. So, the true words for the composition of the poems are the simplest of the simple words used by the illiterate or rustic people living in the lap of nature who are not educated. In the words of those people, we can write best poems like William Wordsworth. There will be beauty, there will be understanding, there will be symmetry, there will be sonorous sound, sweet sound, echophony, there should be cacophonous sound. So the poem will be the best one. So this entire poem, as I now discuss, you see, man passes to nature and nature passes to man. So there has been an establishment of a man to nature interaction and a nature to man interaction. Thereby, we reach the Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram is the literature itself and this poetry itself. In the competitive examination, as we will go further, we have that arrangement. We will discuss the technical aspects of the poem and what are the possible questions and answers to be set in the competitive, not this poem only, but all the nature poems written by different poets from time to time. Thanking you all. Thanks.